So this is probably has to do with how this is all being destroyed. So let's go ahead and go to, so that is being called, so that should be called, let's see here. Oh. Access violation. So we can't set our event there. So that is coming out null for some reason with our entity manager. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we set that up here in the test state. New entity manager. So that'll go through and do that. And that'll go through and call that. So let's double check our CPU usage again. And again, here is maze gain. And no CPU gain there. If we go back, go up though. So somewhere into there is a CPU gain that's not being released in our main menu now. So we need to go through and just look through this real quick. So in main menu, we have our fonts, our logos, and is that it? I believe that is it. So let's go through here. So font we have there. Now let's double check that we don't need to call specific font deletion, which might be the case. Font suppose release. Nope, because that should all be handled automatically. Okay, so let's go back to Entity Manager for teststate.cpp. So those are not being destroyed, so let's go ahead and make them pointers so we can easily destroy them later on. This is going to mean is a lot of changes here. And that unfortunately did not go away like I had hoped it would. And there's that. There's that. It's equal to new SF font. Get the keyword in there. And then again down here. And what this will make easier is explicitly deleting things. can be sometimes difficult to make sure that there's no references, so it's a lot easier to go through and just kind of manually add these in places, a little bit safer sometimes. So that'll hopefully go through and get rid of a lot of our stuff. And where is that? Still some other areas. So let's go double check our usage. So right now we are at 27.8. So let's go through and run that. And no noticeable jump there. Let's go back again. We're up to that and back. So that likely means then that this wasn't the issue. So let's go back and fix all of this. So there's all of that. So it's probably from over in here. Let's go through and do a quick test by setting it to another main menu instance and seeing if that jumps the memory. This will be a better test of whether the state is properly being deleted or not. So again, there's our program. We can see that that is most likely the culprit. Let's go through though and do the exact same thing but for the test state. It should jump initially, and then once we go through and do it a few times, when it's in the state, it should jump less. So there's our game. It should do jump now. Let's see if I forgot to undo that from main menu. Issue. There we go. There's that initial jump. We can see that there's no significant memory jumps as we try and get out of this multiple times. Which most likely means that we are okay. Because there's no giant memory increases. So somewhere within our main menu is where the true issue is. If this were not the issue, then we would actually see this memory jump go up even further. And as you can see, it just went down actually. Correct? I believe that's the case. Yeah, it just went down. So what this means is that it is most likely within our main menu class that there's a memory leak. Now, this might also be a bug with SFML, which would be kind of nice if it was. So let's go through, and this is a really good way to learn how to do memory debugging. So the lag script, I can go through and give assistance when needed, if you'd like. So somebody asked in the stream if I've ever done game assistance before, and I can. If you are interested, I'm definitely not like a professional at this still, but I can. Is your structure virtual? Check that Genesis. Let's see here. So let's see here. Main menu, destructor. Yeah, our destructor shouldn't be virtual. But let's go through and debug some stuff here. I do have Skype, but I don't particularly use Skype. I'm a big Google Hangouts person, actually. So if you want help, you're welcome to ask me on there. Let's see here. So this is a typical thing you'll run into. Let's go through real quick and double check what all our methods are doing. So here we load from our font file. We have our text here, and our text here, our text here, and there's no real new stuff going on there. So let's go through and see. If we come down here, we check if keys are pressed. No real big things going on there. Again, right here, nothing big. Let's go through and see what that is doing. Is that just a constant? So that's just a constant color that's predefined. So let's see what that does. So we have all of that, predefined colors, nothing special there. And we draw our logos. So there's no real reason why that should be going on then. That should be fine. So I'm just going to call that. So I'm going to assume that this might be a bug. Let's see here. Bugs with weak. So let's see here. Probably not that. Small memory leak with text. So, when was this? This was in June 2013. So. So, it looks like there's an issue with font textures. Huh, interesting. Let's see. Yeah, definitely looks like there's a bug with the font stuff is all I can think of. Best way to test that is going to be to get rid of it temporarily and see what happens. So let's go ahead and just get rid of the rendering of all font stuff. We'll bring this back in just a second. And let's see what happens now if we do a menu again. Now remember, this isn't going to show anything, but you just got to trust that it's actually switching between states. Which is a bit unfortunate, but it happens. So let's go through, and we will go through and multiple times just set up the new state. We see a small increase in memory there, but it's nothing significant, which leads me to believe that somehow the fonts are what is actually causing the issue. So I'm going to hazard a guess and say that there's a memory leak with either the font or the text objects. Again, let's go through and just test that real quick. We'll get rid of our text objects, and we will simply delete those from here, but we'll leave the font. If it's the font that is causing an issue, that means that our font, that SFML has a bug in it, and if it doesn't persist, then most likely, if it does persist, then most likely it is an issue with the font object. So let's go through. We will just do a quick go through and, oops. Now we're seeing that constant increase again. So that leads me to believe that it might be a font issue. And there's no specific way that I can see to delete a font easily. Let's see if there's any things in here for deleting them, but it doesn't look like it. Yeah. Let's go through and not use any fonts again. We'll just see. I wonder what happens if we don't give it a font. Here, it should just break. Let's see here. Where's that error? One error. There are no errors. So there's that. Let's see what our memory usage is. It's right there. We can see that there is minimal memory increases there. I'm not seeing anything that would indicate so it looks like SFML definitely has a bug with their fonts. This could be caused by the fact that we're referencing the fonts there, and thus it's not ever being released out of context. But that seems a little odd still. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just do this, and we'll see how that works out instead. And nope, that doesn't work because then the font is deleted. So yeah, I guess there's just a bug with SFML that is causing this. So yeah, there's a memory leak with SFML. So when you run this, you will notice your memory is going to go up with it consistently as you switch between states. The reason for this is a bug with SFML from what I can tell. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that I can do about this. Yeah, kind of unfortunate, but it happens. So, now you guys know what is going to be causing that giant memory leak that you'll see in the code, and that is unfortunately unpreventable. So I will see about filing a bug about that. Kind of unfortunate. Alrighty then. So, for now, we've at least got that. Did I accidentally include that font? Uh-oh. Hope I didn't. Cool, so I did not. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and commit this. We're going to add to ignore the outer space militia font. And let's double check that we cleaned up everything else from there. So that's all good. And we'll go ahead and update this. So I apologize for the delay with that. I really just wanted to make sure that there weren't any memory leaks on my side with this. So now we're going to get into the fun parts of actually making this game. Main menu. Probably should remove some memory leaks in there, but oh well. And again, for those who are curious and who are just now tuning in, I have the GitHub source code is down below. You can go and click on that and download that, take a look through it. The previous two projects I've done, I'm slowly going through and updating them with readmes that kind of describe the layouts and the structures of everything a little bit better. So if you want to learn more about that, you can click on those and find out more. As for the videos on YouTube of previous games, the first game I did, unfortunately, was not saved by Twitch. I didn't realize but they unchecked the default setting of save all previous videos. And then the second one I did, the first like 30 to 50 minutes had music I was playing on it, and Twitch muted those first 30 to 50 minutes on their site. When I export it to YouTube, they mute the first 2 hours of the video. So I have those. I'm trying to talk with Twitch about changing that if they can, but doesn't look very likely. So if people want me to post it, just comment in the chat and I can post it. First half will be muted, the second half will have sound and you can go through and hear things. But this video, I haven't had music on the whole time at all, so hopefully this time around they will not mute me for the whole time. So I will be going through and, yeah, uploading these to YouTube. So this will be the first one on YouTube. If you're on YouTube and tuning in, thanks for tuning in. So let's go ahead now and actually start making this game. So the idea for this is to make something similar to those old top-down puzzle games where you had a variety of objects that you had to collide with. We'll have, you know, walls that you have to collide into, that if you collide into them you just stop. We'll have keys that you can collect to open doors, and then we will also have keys to open doors, and then we will also have enemies that if you run into them you get hurt. And what I can also try and do is set up trap laying mechanisms. We'll see how much time we have for everything, but it shouldn't be too bad. The Lagfest, if you're tuning in, you're welcome to make some more graphics for them. I can go ahead and display them. I'll make sure to give you credit on the Santa sleigh ride game as well for that, so don't worry about that, you will receive credit. And if anybody else wants to chip on in some graphics, they can do that. The other thing that I'm not opposed to is if we have time, we can go through and add audio. Again, I have family in town for the holidays, so I would like to get to them. But yeah, so let's get started on this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through and make some simple graphics. I am going to use Inkscape because I love vector art right now. It is very nice and very easy to resize. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that. So Control-Shift-D brings up the document properties, and from here we can resize it. So let's go through. I'm going to make all of our blocks 32 by 32. And so those will be a little bit small, but it'll look fine in our game. What we will do is we will make them rectangles with like rounded corners. So we'll go ahead and draw a rectangle, and then we will set our corners to like 50, 50. That's a little much though. So let's go through and do 10 and 10. And that'll be better. So let's go ahead and add a quick little gradient to make that look a little nicer. So here's a gradient tool. Go ahead and make that black. And we'll want to have, oops. So go ahead and make it a radial gradient. So go through the center here. Do the same thing there. And that'll work. Little walls, and then we'll export the whole page. We'll browse. We will go down here to GitHub, maze game, wall.png, export. And what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to change the color from gray to white. And actually, we'll keep it like that. So there's that, and let's go through now, and we have our test entity. This will be Santa still, and then we're going to go to tester 2, and he's just going to be the wall. And the wall will be the normal color. We're not going to set the position of that, and we're going to rename it as well to wall. And wall. And come over here and rename it to wall. Make sure that's not what I wanted. Lowercase w. And that's not going to let us because I messed up, so we'll rename it to wall. And then we'll rename it here to lowercase wall. And that'll fix that. So there's that, and then we'll make this main character. And we will come here, we will rename him to main character as well there. Rename him there, and then we'll come over to test state, and this will be main character, and this will be wall. Come up here, main character, and wall. Main and wall. And then the wall object, we will want to be able to get. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, and we are going to take our entity manager, and we're going to make sure we can get them as well. So void get, and this will want to be an entity reference. std string for the name, and return if. So what we're going to want to do is come up here, do the exact same thing, and do if found does not equal this entities end, return found dot second or second, and then otherwise we're just going to return null. And now that we have that, we can get our entities and do stuff with them. So we'll come here and we'll do this manager get wall, and then we'll set position to 300 from there instead. And that'll go through and give us a wall that we can move around and stuff. And in this case, he's unfortunately too dark to be able to see. So what we're going to do is we are going to actually come here and we're going to set the color to, let's go blue. And make this a darker blue. And set this. And then for that, we'll go ahead and make it a black. And then stroke paint. It's kind of cool. And so we'll edit the color to be black on that end. And on that end, we'll make it dark blue, and then on this end it'll be a lighter blue. Again, let's see, where do we go to control that? Edit, there it is. Make that 90, 100, and then no stroke. Then again, edit, make that a much lighter blue, and then edit that, and grab that there, there we go. Place that. And there's our little wall. So let's go through now and make sure that our wall has the right properties. So we have 2 for him, 1 for him. And now if we go down here and try and collide with it, you'll notice that we can't move past it. It's a good way to make sure we're adding collisions. We're going to get pushed back. You can see this little push back effect, like we're pushing up against it type thing. So what we can do is we can add an animation for that and everything if we decide to. So there's that. Now let's go through and we'll design some levels. So I'm going to keep this kind of simple for right now. First off, let's go through and rename test state to main game again. And do the same thing here to test state.cpp. Come up here, rename this to main game, and we're gonna rename it there, and there. And there's all of that renamed. So now what we're gonna do, and let's see. We'll go through it and we will add a void load level, and this will just take in a array of ints level data. And what you're gonna see is we have our level data there. Now that should have worked. It did not. Is that how you declare them in C++, or am I going crazy? I'm not. Whatever. We'll just do a single array then. What the heck? Oh my gosh. Okay, so load level up here. Did I put that before? Yep, cool. Void main game load level. And then for int, we'll want to add in, we're going to make all levels going to be the same size. They're going to be, let's say we're making them 32 by 32, 1280 over 32, which means we could have a 40 grid there. And then if we do 720, that would be, so 32, make it a 32 times 30, 960 by 960 window, so we can fit it all in. Main. So change the window resolution to 960 by 960. That'll allow us to fit in a long array of walls. And then we're going to add in a little bit of height to be able to store the rest of it. So what we're going to do is we'll add in another 40 pixels for that, so that'll bring it up to 1000. So this is going to be a little bit taller than it is wide. Oops, there's an error somewhere. Yep, right there. I forgot to do that. And where is that being called from? Right there. Main menu. Oops. There we go. Test state. Main game. So that's what it's going to look like. We're not going to use that though because that's kind of hideous. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to force the resolution to what we want. And actually we don't even need to do that. We'll just keep it 800 by 600, and we'll just go through and fit as much as we can on that screen. And we'll just use 32 times, let's say 25. Yeah, that'd be fine. 32 times 20. So we'll have a 640 by 480 grid. So what we're going to do is we're going to do for int I is equal to 0, for int y is equal to 0, y is less than 640, y plus equals 32, for int x is equal to 0, x is less than 32, x plus equals 1. And we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go through and change that to 1, and change that to 20, and change that to 20, because I'm not thinking. And what we're going to do is we're going to say switch level data x plus y times, and this is going to be a 20 by 20 grid. So what this does is it goes through and it goes through all the data points in the order of x, y's, and it starts at the top left corner, goes down to the bottom right. Yeah, sorry if the stream's having issues. Not really sure what I can do. Okay, so quick things I've seen people asking about my setups, asking about the connections and stuff. So connection's going to be a little spotty right now. I think just because Twitch is having some issues. I'm doing my best to keep the connection up. It's not a whole lot I can do. As for why I'm kind of looking all over the place, I actually have like 2 monitors here, my laptop here with Twitch and stuff up to kind of keep the stream rolling smoothly on there. And then I've got my phone I'm checking. I've got the Moto 360 I'm checking. So that's kind of why I'm looking all over. So I've got a little too much tech on me. Hey, I've even got a 3DS here with good old Smash. So yeah, all the screens. So let's go through now and get this set up. So basically what this does is it goes through the level data. Now the level data, the lag script, what I'm going to do is I will give you my Skype contact via email. Go ahead and send me an email and I'll go ahead and I'll give you my Skype. If you can use Google Hangouts, that's a little bit easier for me, but I'm not opposed to going to Skype and helping people out as much as I can. I can also give you some of the places I'm on online if you want to sit around and ask questions there too. Excuse me. So let me just make sure, type that in the chat. So, or I can send via Twitch, because I didn't realize Twitch had a mailing system. Not used to this still. Okay, so back to this. Level data. Level data is going to contain an array of all the data in our level. And what we're going to do is we are going to go through this array, and we are going to take each point, and we're going to see what exactly it is. So in this case, let's say that we're going to use the layout. Let me bring up Notepad so we have this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring up the best editor, Sublime. Ta-da! I need to pay for this still, because I really, really like this. And I encourage anybody who's interested in this to go take a look at it. It is like the best editor you will ever use. So here's what we're going to do, is we're going to have a table that lists out the various things. So in this case, we have a table that basically what it'll be is 0 will be the main character. 1 is going to be a wall. We're going to make 2 a key. 3 a door. 4 will be a locked door. And then 5 will be the exit door. And then finally 6 is going to be enemies. Enemy A. 7 is going to be enemy B. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to make 6 through, let's go ahead and say through 10 enemies. And that might seem like a lot, but you're going to see how we're going to simplify that as well. So we're going to switch that around. 5 through 10 is going to be enemies, and then 11 is going to be the exit door. So I'll make sure to put this on the GitHub repo as well. But to start out, let's go through and switch through this. And we're going to have, whoops, we've already switched through it. So we're going to do case 0, manager, this, manager, add entity, new, and this will be main character, new main character. So there's that. And then case 1 is going to be a wall. So we'll go through and add in a wall. And what we're going to do for add entity as well is we're going to make sure that we get the name in case the name changes. So we're going to have std string, and then this will return. And actually, what we can do instead is we're going to do something even cooler. Void string and name. And we'll come here, and we'll make sure that we have a std string name is equal to something. So in this case, name will be equal to main character, and then it'll be wall. And we'll come here and do this as well. And then we will do this manager get name, set position to x times 32y times 32. And we're going to do the same thing for everything, so we don't actually need that in the switch statement. So there's that. And now what we can do is when we load up our game, we're going to give it a quick little array. And we're going to have test level is an array. It's going to be looking like this. So I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then we have to do the columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20. And take out that last comma. So there's our test level. So now let's come down here. And where we were setting them up manually before, what we're going to do is we're going to do this load level test level. Now, we're going to go through and run it, and it's going to be kind of bland. You're not going to see anything special, except all Santas. And that is not what we wanted. So, what we're going to do is we're actually going to switch this now. We're going to make main character 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and keep that at 11. So now we just come here. And this is kind of neat, as you can see, because we can go through and change little things like that and see a huge difference. And that works better with what we've already set up here. So yeah. So now we go through, and it'll be a completely empty room. This is because there is nothing in there. So, default break. And what that'll do is it'll continue through the array instead of continuously going through. So we've got that all set up. Now what we can do is we can add a main character right there, and we can add a couple of walls. We'll add one right there, there, right there, 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 right there, and right there. And now what we will see is we will see that there's a little alcove. Oops. Uh-oh, what did we do? Case 1, case 2. That's not right. There shouldn't be Santas there. Ah, so we wanted wall, not Santas. And now we have our little corridor in there that we can't actually enter because we're too big. So let's go ahead now, and we're going to actually shrink the main character down. So let's go ahead and open up a new document here. And this time around, though, what we're going to do is we are going to make this, now, all objects are supposed to be 32 by 32. The big thing you'll notice with this is that we're not going to make him 32 by 32. We're going to make him 30 by 30. The reason for this is we want him to be smaller so that he can fit through things. So in this case, I'm just going to make him a little sphere. He's going to be a little green sphere to know that he's a good guy. So there's that. Export the whole page. Documents, GitHub, maze game, and this will be test.png. There's that. So now we have him there. Again, we can't go there, but we can go through if we are small enough. Now you'll notice that we're kind of in a tight spot there. That's just because of how tiny we are. It's not too bad, I guess, but it's definitely not what it should be. But we could go through and do more with that later. But we have our walls now. So the next thing we'll want to do is we will want to go through and we will want to add in, what do we want to add in this time around? How about we start now on the keyed and the locked door. So what we're going to do is we're not going to add in that door. We're just going to add in the key, locked door, and some enemies and a wall. So now we're going to go through and we're going to do the key object. So we're going to go through to entities, add new entity. And this is just going to be a key. Now you'll notice before that with our entities folder, it's kind of empty right now. We don't have anything in there. The reason for this is because all of our objects up until then haven't been referencing each other. In this case, we will have to be, well, actually we don't have to be as cautious. I have a solution on that. So let's go through and take our wall object, and this is going to actually be pretty simple. It's going to just be this. We're going to make it key.png. We're going to come here and we're going to make it 3 instead, just like we said here. And this is going to be renamed to key. And once we do that, we will come here and we will draw a quick key. Make that 32 by 32. Zoom in, zoom in. And what the key is going to be is it's just going to be a sphere, a yellow sphere with an outline. It's not going to be anything particularly fancy, mainly because I am not really able to draw that well. So we'll go through, what is that, 128, 212, 170, and then that will have no fill, and we will make the stroke much thicker. And we'll make that 5, and then shrink it down. There we go. And then browse, GitHub, name that key. And now we can go through and we can add in our key to the main game. So we'll go ahead and we'll make our key right there in that little secret room. And we come in, oops, gotta make sure that we come down this. Key, and again, key, come up here, include that. And there's our key. So you notice now that if we go in there and we try and get it, we just kind of pass through it. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into our main game again, and right here we have this. So what I'm going to do now is the main character is going to be able to take in keys. So I'm going to do private int key count, and we're going to do public method that is add key, and what this will do is it will this key count plus equals 1 void remove key this key count minus equals 1 and void get or void key int key count, and that will return this key count. So now we can go through and we can add and remove keys. So what we have to do here is we have to check our group IDs of everything again. In this case we have 3 and 1, and we do, then we set entity B to be set active to 0, and then what we also want to do is go through is do entity A. We want to make sure that we cast it as the type of main character reference, and then we add key. And what we will see now is we will go through and we will make sure that we get the add key call by adding a reference to it here. And we'll play the game, we'll go through, and if we go over here and we grab the key, you'll notice our key count goes up to 1, and if we go out of here, we've collected the key. And the final thing we'll go ahead and do is at the top there, we will add in a status bar. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add on to the Y position a offset of, let's see, our window's 800 right now, so 32 times 20, 640, 800 minus 640, 800 minus 640, 800 minus 640, 160. So we want an offset of 160 from the top. That way we're playing slightly below. To double check this, we'll come up here and just add in our character there instead. And what that'll do is it'll give us a little bit of space at the top to be able to see the status bar at the very top there. So we have a lot of room up there to do that now. So we actually have quite lot of room there. So I'm going to actually use that room a little bit more efficiently. Let's go here. 60 divided by 32, that's 5. So we actually have 60 over 32 is only 5. Oh, okay. So we have actually plenty of room. So what we're going to do is we are going to do another 3 total. 23. 23. That leaves 2 instead. 2 times 32, 64. And that offset will be a little bit smaller, allowing us to do fonts and such. And now we can do some text up at the top there. And again, this is going to increase our memory because of issues with SFML. Kind of sucks, but nothing more we can do about it really. So what we're going to do is take our font stuff from there. Ooh, which one's bothering me? We have our fonts there, and this is going to be, we want keys, score, and lives. And again, we're going to come down here to the state CPP file, open that up and open that up. We're going to come up here and make sure that we copy all of this. And then up here at the initialize, we're going to come down here and do all of that. And this time around it is going to be keys, score, and live. Keys, score, lives. And this is going to be keys 0, score 0, and lives 0. Font will be 64, and this is going to be no origin there. Set position for the keys to 0, 0, and set them all there initially. And then we want to render these, and then again, make sure, whoops, window, draw this, keys, and then score, lines, and this offset will be, let's go ahead and say our window width is 800. Ooh, that's right, our window height. That'll be fine. Well, we should probably double check that actually. Come down here and put a wall. You're going to see our fonts all up in the left-hand corner bundled up. And you can see that our wall is not visible. We've offset it a little too much there. So let's go ahead and do less size. So we'll do 20 by 20. And that's actually still not going to work because our window is too tall for that. So we need to use less. So let's go through and the big things we're probably going to want to change are I want to get rid of a whole few rows. So 20, 19, 18. That'll give us some room at the top. Again, not a whole lot. So we're going to want to just set that to 0, measure this all out real quick. So there's that. That's not a whole lot of room, so we're going to lower it down even further, down to like 16. Get rid of 2 more rows here. And that'll hopefully leave enough room for us to draw some text with. Yep, so so now we can go through and add on that 64 from before, hopefully. And that'll be okay. And then let's go ahead and actually calculate out what it can be. So we have 640, we have 16 times 32, 512, 600 minus 512 is 88. So we have room for 88 pixels there. And then we're going to come here and down with the fonts, we're going to change them to 32U. Hopefully that'll be small enough to fit in there easily. And so there's our little text stuff there. And we can probably make it a little bigger even. We'll go to 48 even. And the position for this will be, let's see, we have 800 over 3, 800 over 3. So we'll make it offsets of 250 and 500. Hopefully that won't be too much. Now unfortunately that's still too big, so we're going to shrink it down again. So that's a little bit better now. Still lots of overlap, so again, shrink it down. This time we'll go to 24U. And there we go. Now unfortunately this font doesn't want to let us use numbers, so I'm going to go find a different font for that. So let's go find one that is okay. Let's find ones that are free for commercial use, so I can, public domain, here we are. Public domain, so that works perfectly. So this I will include in the project. You will be able to find this font at least in there. So let's go through and get this into there. GitHub, maze game, and so we will just get rid of the regular. We'll keep the name to make sure that we give credit a little bit to the author who made this font, so that other people can look it up. So there's that. Let's double check how that looks. So that's a lot better now. So we have our score, our keys, and our lives. And we'll go ahead and give ourselves 3 lives. And then we will come down here. And the the main character is going to have a variety of stats we'll be able to use. So we're going to give him we have his key count. Then we're going to have int lives and score as well. So score, lives, int score, which will just return this score, and int lives, return this lives. Come here to main game again, and we will print that out for each one. Don't forget over here at main character, we need to make sure that we set his lives, score, and keys to 0 to start. Equal to 3, this key count is equal to 0, and this score is equal to 0. So there's that. Next up, we'll come here, and we will put in the render section keys set string to keys plus std value of string value to std to string. And this will be this integer get, and that will be main character. And our main character is going to again need to be cast to a main character type. Key count. And then we're going to do the same thing for scores and lives. And now if we come into here, we will have that all situated. And if we come down here, we grab the key. We see that we now have one key. And of course this will be useful for when we go through and we create the doors. We can also add, of course, scores and points. Last thing we'll want to do is update this text to score and lives. And so that is all done for that. Now we can really focus on going through and adding in some more enemies, and then from there we will be all set. So we've got our key. Let's go through and finish this off by adding in the locked doors. So we're going to come to our image editor again. We're going to resize this again to 32 by 32. And we're going to come down here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little wall that is bigger than it is wide, taller than it is wide. This will give the illusion that we can walk through it. That's a little weird. So there's that. And then we're going to go through and design the color. Be that. So the fill color, we're going to head and make this a little bit of like an ominous purplish color. We'll go through and make that a little darker. No stroke. And that'll allow us to make it a little taller. A little wider. And we have our little door. And then on the inside, we'll go through and we will add in a smaller version that looks kind of like a little like portal, but with a red square on it, indicating that you can't easily add it. We'll add a nice little gradient to that. And that'll be like our little portal to it. And again, come into here. Door. And that yellow is going to be what will set that off. So now we're going to go into here. We're going to have 3, 4. Door, and again, come here and name this door. Come up here, and we will make a door. And now we need to come here and do the same thing of door. So, door is again just going to be a copy of key, just with a different name. Pretty straightforward stuff at this point. You can go through and you can add in all sorts of fun little things. And our ID for this is going to be 4, so we know which one it is. And come down here, we'll add in a door, make that 4, and then 2, 2, 2. And what we're going to do is later on we'll add in the ability to not go through there. So now what we're going to do is we are going to make it so that if it's a door and a person collision, then we're going to say if entity A, which is going to be cast as a main character. So we're just going to go through and create a main character that, and if character key count is greater than 0, then you should be able to go through the door. So we'll set entity B down, and we will then remove keys instead. Otherwise, what we want to do is we actually just want to move the character away from the door because they can't get in. It's treated like a wall. Now we'll come here. We can see our door down there. And if we come down here and we try and go at it, you'll notice that we can't do anything. But if we come up here and we grab the key, and we come back down here, the moment we touch it, it goes away. And our keys are decreased because we lost our key. And so basic gameplay mechanic all set. Now one thing you will notice is that it was not wide enough. So that just is an adjustment of the screen resolution. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and double check how many we needed. I believe though that we need, because our window size is 800, we need 800 divided by 32, so we need 25 to fit it up. So 25, meaning we need to add 5 more zeros onto everything. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's that. We'll add more on here. Excuse me. And that will go ahead and make sure that we are using up the maximum screen size. Now the only thing to note here now is that, so we need to come down here and make sure that that is also 25 to adjust for that width. And now we have our basic level that we can play through. Now the final thing that we'll want to do is we'll want to make sure that the character can't move within the screen edges. So let us come here to main character, and what we'll do is we will say double check that the character is within the bounds. So if they are not, then we're going to want to go through and do the exact same thing here where we bounce off of the edges. So we're going to say if this get position x is greater than that plus this get global bounds dot width is greater than 800, and do the same thing there. This move, and that's going to be the same for the x and both sides. So if x is less than or equal to 0, and then greater than or equal to 800. What it will do is we will bounce off. Now the big thing there is that we are actually stuck, and this was something I was a little worried about, but basically well, all we have to do for that is change this to be wall. We are stuck in that wall. We want to increment the x, so that'll be 1 and 0. Wall this. And in that case, we want to decrement it. And you can see now that our walls, our boundaries of the world are set for us. And we will, of course, be able to do the same thing with the rest of the month, with the up and downs. Now, the big thing to remember is that in this case, we also want to make sure that we have that offset taken into consideration. So have height, and in this case it's 600, but in this case for the 0 it's not going to be that, it's actually going to be 88, because we want to make sure that we don't go over the score and text and such. So now if we come here, you'll notice we have plenty of room. We can probably get rid of a few more pixels with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to set that to like 32 and see how that comes out. And then we can also make the levels a little bigger as well. So now we have that. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 88 minus 32, that's 56, which means we can add in one more because minus 32 is going to be 24. So that's going to be too small. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to come here and add on one more layer size. And then down here, we're going to add this to bring this up to 17. And that'll allow us to make our levels a little bigger than before. And the last thing we'll want to do as well is come down here and change that to 88 minus 32, and that'll be 56. And we are all set. And our main character again can't go any less than that. There won't be items up there, but he can go up there further a little bit. That'll give it some wiggle room. Which we probably don't want in the end, so what we're going to do is we're going to change that to 56 as well, and then we can just make the fonts a little bigger. So we'll go ahead and go back to the main game, and up here with our fonts, we will set our font size, and that will be go up to, let's try 32 and see how that looks. We can even make it a little bigger, it looks like. Now the perfect size. And now we're going to need to move it over to the left a little bit, because, oh, no, actually we don't. So now we have our level size, and we can only get through this section of it once we have the key. So we come up here, we have the player grab a key, and then they can come down here, and they will be able to go to the next level. Because the next thing we're going to add before enemies is an exit door. So let's go through and make the exit door the exact same thing, but we're going to make it green instead. And we're again going to add that gradient. And that'll be right there. And then we will come here, and we will take the page, and we will be with this exit door. And now what we will do is we will come here, and we will add in another entity. And again, this is just going to be exit door. And then we're going to copy key once more, and we're going to name it to exit door, and exit door. The ID for this, as we decided before, is going to be 11. And then we will come over to our main game. We will make sure that we add in the ability to render it. And it will be labeled exit door. And exit door. Come up here, name that. And that is going to be 11 for the collision number. So there's that, and let's double check. I can't remember if I did that. Yep, we set the ID right. And then down here in the bottom right corner, we will add our nice little exit door. And there it is. So we have an exit door, we have our walls, and we have our keys with the ability to unlock doors. The next big thing that we're really going to want to add is some kind of obstacle. In this case, we're going to go through and we're going to add enemies. Now, the nice thing about enemies is that we're using a lot of inheritance. You can see that it's really easy to go through and add objects like walls, to go through and add just about any. So the big thing we're going to want to do now is we are going to want to make sure that we can have enemies to kill the player. And we're going to use a lot of neat little tricks with object-oriented programming and inheritance and polymorphism to do this. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, let's make sure that if our lives are less than 0, we go to a nice game over screen. So let's come here. We're going to go through and do the same thing we did prior in the previous project. We're going to add a state that is the game over screen. And this is just going to be game over. And we're just going to copy the main menu again, reuse some code, and we have that. We don't need our entity manager here, and we really don't need that in the main menu either, actually. So we can get rid of that there. And then here we need our font, and we need our game over text. Game over. And come here to the menu, and then we're going to add a game over state to the CPP files. And again, just copy from main menu. And come down here, and we're going to have our game over text be drawn, and the rest of this does not need to be. And then here, if they push enter, we just want to bring them back to the main menu. The rest of this we don't care about, so we can go ahead and delete it. And then we want to get rid of the rest of this. And game over, we want to set game over, and again, change this. And this time we do want it to be in the center of the screen. And there's our game over scene. And we can go ahead again and delete that. Come here, we can delete the up down, and we can delete the selected, and we're all set. Now we have a nice little game over screen that we'll go through and give a test run of. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to say if this, and then we're going to need to get the main character. So we're going to get him right here. Is less than 1, then or state dot set state to new game over. We're going to need to go up here and make sure we include that. So main game, we need to include game over. Separate those out to make them easier to see, and then we'll come here. And then what we need to make sure we do as well is we need to make sure that the lives start out at 0. So let's come over here to entities and main character, and we'll set his initial lives to 0. That way it goes straight to our game over screen. And we have a nice little game over screen now. So let's go ahead and quit that, and we will go back to our game over screen. Let's give it a nice little red coloring to it to make it look a little bit more ominous. So this game over dot set color SF color red. That'll be a nice little ominous color. And what we'll do is we'll actually come over here to the main menu again, and we'll make sure that we set it to that same kind of like ominous red color. So right here is where that color is coming from. So we'll come here and we will take that and copy paste it there. And we have this nice little game over screen. So let's go ahead now and set our lives back to normal. So set them back to 3. So our game over screen is all set. The big thing we need now is enemies. So we're going to add in 5 different types of enemies in this case, or 6. We're going to have an enemy base class. So this is just going to be enemy. And again, what we're going to do is we're just going to come over here to our, not our main character, we're going to come over to our key, copy paste that real quick. This is going to be enemy, enemy, and this is going to start out at least 5. Now our enemies, what are they going to look like? Let's go and decide that. So our enemies, what they are going to be is they're actually just going to be the player, but they're going to be different colored versions of him. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here, is we're going to add that, take him, put him there, and we're going to change his color to white. And what this will do is it'll allow us to set his color our own way. So if we come into here, maze game, I'm going to do enemy and export. So there's that, and what we will do is leave him like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a new filter, and we're going to name this enemies. So the enemy starts out as enemy 5. We want, what is that, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go ahead and leave it like that. So we have 6 different enemies we can have. So let's go through and start out with an easy enemy. Easy. So all this is going to do is it's going to inherit everything from the enemy class, enemy easy, and it's going to be the exact same thing, except it is going to here's that, and that's actually unneeded. So we're going to be there. That's all done with. Now, the group ID is still going to be 5. This time we're going to set the color to be SF color, and we're going to make him magenta. Okay, the easy enemies are going to be identified by their pink color. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over to here to main game. We'll add an enemy, I don't know, like right here. And so that'll be 5 to start. And in this case, we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so now we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so we're just going to name them all enemy because the names don't matter all that much. They'll be automatically accounted for within there. And then this is going to be our easy enemy. Oops. And then easy enemy there. And go through and enemy, and enemy. So come up here, make sure that we include our easy enemy. Oops, enemy easy, not easy enemy. And so there's that. And then what we're going to do is we are going to say if he collides with it, he's losing a life and gets reset to his position. And what we want to make sure we do is we save his initial position. So we're going to add into the main character class an initial position variable. So we have SF vector 2F initial position. Let's set initial position, float x, float y, and then we want to be able to get that. So there's that. So we'll be able to get and set the initial position. And then what we'll do is we will come to our main game, and when we do that, so then we'll double check 5, and what we're going to do is we're going to be checking if it's greater than or equal to 5, or less than or equal to 10. And this will let us go through and easily check all of our enemies. And what we're going to do is we're going to set him to be inactive. They both get destroyed. And entity A will be cast to our main character again. And entity A will have its position set to characters get initial position. And what we can do is we can even get rid of this and replace that there with that. So that'll set the position back to its initial position. And the final thing we're going to want to do is remove life. And that'll be able to remove our lives. So we'll come down here and we will have void remove life. This live _1, and we want to add on to the score as well. Add point score plus equals x. Point value. We'll make it so we can add in different score points, different point values. Remove life. That, and that should be good. Let's double check that. And unfortunately, he didn't get added, so let's double check we have him. We have him right there. Come down here. If it's 5, we're going to add an enemy. We're going to name him enemy easy, and we're going to make sure we create him. Oh, and the last thing that we got to do is we have to come here and use enemy. There we go. So now if we come down here, we can come up to him, and if we touch him, we both die, but he goes away, and I come back with 1 extra life, or with 2 extra lives left. So, there's all of that basic stuff. Now, this enemy is just going to kind of stand there. He's not going to do anything that crazy. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to add different types of enemies. So this one's going to stand. We're going to have one that will just kind of shuffle left and right. So let's go ahead and add an enemy that is medium. And what this guy is going to do is he's just going to move left and right, nothing special, but it'll still be a little tricky for the player to get around him. So this time, this enemy is going to be number 6. We're going to set his color to just be red, because he's a little bit more dangerous. Actually, we'll go with orange. We don't have orange. What colors are available? We'll go with yellow, getting more dangerous. And what this will do is this will have his velocity x is equal to 1 by default. And what we're going to do is we are going to come over here to our collision manager. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to check that, first off, we're going to add on to a collision here. We're going to say, and we're going to say if entity A in the group for him is equal to, and we're going to make that group 6, then if he collides with something, and entity B group does not equal 1, then what we're going to have him do is we're going to have his velocity be set to the opposite of whatever it is. So this entity A velocity is going to be equal to the negative of its x. And that will get him to reverse the XY positions of him. And what we'll be able to do is we'll have 2 of them. One that'll move up and down, one that'll move left and right. And so what we can do is we can say 4 is equal to 7. So 7, what it'll do is it'll move up and down, and 6 will move left and right. So now, if we go through, and we'll come up here and we'll add in this guy to be 6 instead. We will add a wall here, and then on the left side we'll add no wall. And so the last thing that we'll want to do is come down to main character, and we'll open up his move function, and this right here is going to be what will actually set the other guy to be have his velocities reversed. If and there's that. And same here. And then here's just going to be the y instead. And now if we go through and we run this, colors yellow, 6. Oh, that reminds me. We need to come down here and we need to do the enemy medium. Go through and change this. So there's that, and then we'll come over here, make sure we include that. Medium. There's that. Let's make sure we get rid of the wall first to make sure it's not glitching out, which it could be, because remember, the sprites are all exact sizes, so if they're already touching each other, that'll cause issues. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Let's move him up. Let's see what goes on here. Medium velocity is equal to and then we have to do entity update there. And you'll see now that he can move around, and if we come here and we collide with him, we'll let him bounce off. He'll bounce off of there. And then if he comes here and touches us, we both die, we lose a life. And of course we can go through and we can add in the ability to set what type of enemy is. So we'll go here and we'll set Boolean whether he's a lefty or not. Actually, I'm left-handed, so we're going to be righties. And if righty else, we'll make his y go up and down. And the last thing we'll want to do is make sure that we come over here to the default constructor use here. We'll set that to false, that he is not right-handed. And now he will move up and down instead. And so we'll let him kind of bounce around for a second. And again, that's all done. Now that was unusual, because we should not have died to that. Interesting. And this is why we have bug checking. So let's see here. 3, what are those walls? Walls are 2. Ah, and. So there's that. Now we won't die with walls. So now we can still collide with walls. We can come here and we can grab the key. And if we hit him, we die, but we still maintain our key at least. We can come down here. And we can reach the exit. So there's 2 types of enemies that are real quick and easy to do. The next one that we're going to do is we are going to do one that spins, that will switch between the up, down, left, right pattern that we just showed. So what this will be is this will be enemy hard. We're just going to go over here and we're going to copy the enemy medium. This time what we're going to do is we're going to say if this happens, then we're going to have him his y become 0, his y become 1, or so when he reaches the bottom of a screen, he's just going to turn around and go in an opposite direction. Go right, start him at up. So he's going to start going up instead. No handedness there. And then hard. And again, moving that there. And then what we'll do is we'll have him, if he goes up, he'll start by going down, and if he hits the bottom of the screen, then he will go to the left. If he hits the top of the screen, he will go right. And if he hits the left of the screen, he will bounce off still. And then we're going to go over here, and we're going to go to the main game again. We're going to manage this exact same thing. It's going to remain the same here, where he just kind of bounces off of things. And that should make for some interesting gameplay. What we'll do is we will go ahead and set... This is going to be an interesting guy because he's going to move around in a very odd way. We're going to make his color red. And is there anything else we want to do? I think that's good. So we will come up here, add in enemy hards class. This should be kind of interesting to see his gameplay mechanic. We're going to add a normal guy there, and we're going to add this guy here. Make sure we change his ID here again to 7. And then we are going to come down here to this. We're going to be making this enemy hard. And this will be an interesting guy again because he's just going to move really weird. So if he does that, now the big thing is we gotta make sure that he doesn't reach into the boundaries. So that's going to be more problematic. So what we'll want to do is we'll still want to have that Y position get set differently. So you still want him to bounce off of the walls. Forgot about that. And he'll be kind of cool to see. And what we we can even do is we can have it be a random direction between 0 and 1. So what we'll do is we will have, let's see here, there it is. So we'll come up here and we will do a switch statement between entity A, group ID. And what we'll do is we will actually make all of the enemies behave in this way where they bounce off objects, but it'll be a case-by-case different instance. So case 5 is the normal enemy doesn't move, so we don't need anything there. Case 6 is where we have him do this. And case 7 will be this, where there's a random chance of him going in a random direction. Rand mod 2 if option equals 0, then do one thing, else do this. And we're going to want to go through and have that happen twice, one for the X, one for the Y. So in this case, it'll just be the X and the Y. And we'll want to come over here to our main and seed the rand with a null value, make sure rand actually works. Now this guy will be kind of interesting because he will not have any kind of set pattern. You can see there that he has a lot of randomness to him. Right now he's just kind of going in that same pattern. And we can even have him collide. When he collides with the other enemies, he'll do something similar. So right now he's probably going to be mainly over there. This is focus. That's cool, little one. So we have 3 types of enemies. We have the basic enemy that stands still, which is easy. We have the a little bit trickier enemy that moves around, but he still only bounces off things in a single direction. And we have our harder enemy, who he will go around to a semi-random pattern. So the next one we're going to do is he is going to be an enemy that will follow the player. Now this guy's going to move a little bit slower than the previous guys, but he will be able to follow the player when the player gets within a certain range. So this will add a we're going to have this guy follow you around when you get too close to him. So this is going to be enemy follow. And this might be the last one we do for this. If anybody has an idea for another type of enemy they'd like to see, as long as it's pretty basic, go ahead and mention it below and I'll add it in real quick. But otherwise I'm going to keep this to be our last one. So this guy is, what, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll do this one. And this color is going to just be, make him green as like the big baddie. So his pattern is going to be to first check how close he is to the main character. So what we're going to want to do is actually make sure that he can see the main character. So we need to make sure we import and include the main character class. And we're going to give him a main character to follow. And we'll come down here and make this private. And then here we are going to want to check the distance between him and the main character. So And what we'll do is we'll make a rectangle for him of how far away he can see. And this will kind of be like the vision around our guy. So this is going to be rectangle. And this will be, and we'll specify this in here to be, we'll give it int width, int view width, int float view width, float view height. And it'll let us equal to as a, this will let us specify how far away he can see everything. So this is going to be this get global bounds dot left, this get global bounds right dot top, view width, view height. And that will need to be updated each time. So SF this bounds dot width, and then we do if viewing bounds dot intersects with this main character get global bounds. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in a target that he's going to chase. So we're going to have SF vector 2f target. So then if he sees him, then his target is going to be this main character get position will be the guy's target. So then what we're going to do is we're going to do now this is going to be the trickier part. This is going to require a bit of a math to go through and basically get the velocity of which way the target is. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to simplify this. I'm going to say if this get position dot x is less than target dot x, then this velocity x is equal to -1. We're just going to do the same thing for the greater than. And it's basically just going to go through and match it perfectly. And target. So there's that. I'm going to do the same thing here for the y's. And it's greater. So if it's less than this position is less than target x, if this position is greater than target x, it's greater. I did that wrong. +1, -1, and then -1. And so, okay, there we go. There's that, and finally we'll come over here, we'll come up to here, we'll do an follow, here we name him, and And then we're going to want to get the main character again. There's that. And then we have our viewing boundary, which will be, let's go ahead and make that 100 by 100. And that's 8. Make him right down here. Oops, and this is going to be a problem. So we're going to make sure we do that. And that's why. So the enemy follow set main. So there's that. Okay, so here. Have our main character here. Equal to main character. And that'll make sure that we have our main character name. is equal to a character name. Character name, there's that.